Morgan just rescheduled.
Then hey, you go.
Okay, we're live. Welcome. Here we go. Got it. Being live streamed. Hi, welcome. Happy Sunday. Welcome to another Temple Talk in the Soul Healing Revolution. I'm Cara Mendes. This is my husband, Edmundo. And today we are going to be sharing with you what is temple consciousness.
You look really.
I look too pale.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is the lighting master.
Yeah. Sound.
So today, and we're going live through our Zoom, so it's a little bit of a different vibe this way. The quality is not as clear, but we're making it work. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is temple consciousness, why the world needs it, and how you can experience it in your own life. And kind of what this looks like for us and how we experience and how we work with it. So we'll be sharing some examples from some of our work, and how we access temple consciousness and how we share it with our clients and how we bring it into our life and how they're able to do the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time I heard temple consciousness was when I was actually building the temple, and I was into a lot of podcasts about this and that. And I was into a podcast, and I remember the guy said temple consciousness. And I was like, what is that? This is the first time I've heard it. So then I started paying more attention and kind of just doing a little research, and found out that what they were talking about, what temple consciousness was everything that we were already doing and how it tied everything together. And from there, we've been really exploring it, and it's become, I guess, like the center of all the things that we do, and what it is to be in temple consciousness, and what temple consciousness is. Kara's got a really good definition of how she sees temple consciousness being.
Yeah. So we wrote a bunch of notes beforehand, but it's really simple for me. Temple consciousness is really just our own return to sacredness. That is what temple consciousness offers us. It reminds us of how sacred we are. And, we didn't have a name for it, but earlier this year, that's really started being shown to me as I was going through a really deep inner transformation of my own. And I returned to that place within myself. It was like buried beneath like the soot and the dirt. And it was like almost in this like dark cave, right? And it is the sacredness of the womb. I would even go as far to say the sacredness of creation power itself, which is, all of what we teach about, right? Which is life force, which is sexual energy. It's our eroticism. It's our sensuality. It's everything. And it's where life derives, right? It's it's why we have a pulse. And it is sacred, right? Life is sacred. And I think that that's really what the temple offers us in temple consciousness, is that consciousness that allows us to remember that everything is sacred, that we are sacred, our bodies, our sexual energy, our love, our hearts, our wombs, our pussies, our cocks, everything is sacred. Everything is sacred. The land is sacred, right? And when we remember that we are sacred, We remember our purity. We return to unconditional love, because if everything is sacred, then nothing is therefore shameful. Right. And so that's why people come to our temple and experience these profound releases of shame and of fear. And they experience profound liberation, because in the frequency of unconditional love, in the frequency of your sacredness, there can be nothing bad or wrong about you.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we were like, when this thing like the simple consciousness concept came in, something that we had already been living, but whenever we started working in the temple, it's something that became very apparent on what it was, right? And it was because of the temple, and you know, it's very supportive of dropping into temple consciousness, right? That when we start, Cara and I started going in there and going in there with clients, we would just enter a different frequency, right? And we were like, wow, this is like, what is this, right? Because in that, time didn't exist, space didn't exist, and you're just in this other world, right? Where like Cara was saying, we were experiencing like releasing shame, and we can just be all of ourselves and even speak our desires, whatever that was, or even speak the stuff that we were never able to say because it was too shameful, or because it was we felt like if we said it, we were going to be rejected or whatever. And so we realized that dropping into temple consciousness was to drop into unconditional love. And as we do the work in the temple, and we create this blueprint for everything we do, right? So we go in there, it's like going to a gym and working on our physical body. We go to a temple and work on our unconditional love for ourselves, for each other, for the clients, for themselves. And then we create this blueprints of what's available, and then we take it out into the real world. Now, you don't have to have a temple to practice this, because you are the temple. Your body is the temple. You know, your essence, your soul, everything is the temple. And it was always that. The temple started as you.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's so true. There's so much in what you just like shared that we could like really dig into. But I think to keep this like more simplistic this time, on the temple consciousness component is, it was Mark Raffney. Like you were listening to Aubrey Marcus podcast. So this temple consciousness is not our word. First of all, I just want to be clear about that.
Well, it is.
Well, yes, but we didn't create the concept of it, is what I'm saying. And I think for us, it's like this, it just the sacredness piece is so, so crucial. It's because it requires us to receive ourselves and to see every part of you, every past trauma, every harmful thing that you may have done, all of it as being sacred. Even, and that is like also what removes the shame. I mean, the shame piece just keeps coming up over and over for me right now, like to pull in, because that is like such a profound piece of like, we carry this shame. What is shame? What is shame? Like shame is this, like that we did something bad or wrong, that something is not okay with us, that we are unworthy, that we don't deserve love, right? That we don't deserve acceptance. And then with that, it's like, it creates this like fear, it creates this separation. And that's like the beauty of the temple is kind of what you were speaking to before. I think about like the desires and all of the other pieces of the fullest expression, as it allows you to be your whole full self, because you get to be in acceptance of, right, again, in that unconditional love of all the parts of you, whether, we caused harm, or whether someone did harm to us, or someone told us that we were bad or wrong. We just get to see all of those are sacred. And that is how we return to our gifts. And I think you also said this too. It's like, when we free these aspects of ourselves within temple consciousness, then that is what reveals to us like our truth and the truth of our gifts and what we're here to do and who we are here to be.
Yeah. And so I think like at the essence of temple consciousness is unconditional love. Is like one of the foundationals of being in temple consciousness, right? To not only love ourselves unconditionally, but to love others unconditionally. And I think that whenever we learn to love those parts that are in shadow or shameful or whatever, that they come back online, right? They come back into wholeness. Because part of the shame is that you reject those parts of yourself. If I found that working with women, a lot of the things that they reject is their womb power, their womb period, right? Because they carry a lot of shame there. And to come back into their power is to love that again, to release all that shame from their womb and from their pussies and from just what they think they are, right? Because they've forgotten of who they truly are. And that is they're a vessel for unconditional love. And if they can remember that, then that shame just is released. That shame can no longer live there because love lives there.
Yeah.
And so as we practice temple consciousness, and again, the temple has been very supportive of that, is that we go into the space with people that are carrying shame and they're carrying guilt and they're carrying those very low vibrations in their being. And there we learn to love those parts again, right? It's become very apparent that care it's a mirror for what it looks like to receive yourself, what it looks like to love yourself, what it looks like to no longer carry that shame. And we realize now that people come to us because of that, because they want to experience that. And for me, as like working with feminine, is that I get to hold the feminine in unconditional love and be that safety for them as they release this shame, as they come back into unconditional love for who they are. So again, we were already kind of practicing all this, we were already on the path to that, but as we were building the temple, this unconditional term unconditional came, and it really connected all the dots for us, right? And so we were exploring that. So what is temple consciousness? And Cara mentioned stuff, but I think for it's coming back to unconditional love, to learn to love all parts of yourself, and therefore, because you can love all parts of yourself, you can love other people's parts.
Yeah. And there's so much that ripples out from that experience, right? Like as you meet yourself in unconditional love, and as you are able to therefore meet others with
Unconditional.
in unconditional love, it opens the door for such a deeper intimacy and connection that is available in relationships, and it really creates a space for healthy relating, for what we might call secure attachment with other individuals. And that has been a huge part of our journey. And it also creates a space for like what we've been talking about for many, many weeks now is divine union, and
one thing that you mentioned, as we were talking earlier, you can mention a sacredness, right?
Yeah.
Bringing back the sacredness to it. Do you want to maybe tell them like what the sacredness means to you?
Yeah, I think, I feel like have we talked about this? Maybe somewhere I have. Returning to sacredness for me, I actually did a whole online retreat about it earlier this year. It means, it's like this purifying your heart, opening your heart, like de-armoring it. It means like purifying the pussy and like clearing that shame out. This was like my journey, right? So I'm sharing, this is a journey in the process that we take other women through, is and there's like a womb healing piece, and there's like a connection to the throat of reclaiming your voice, your sacred yes, your sacred no, you're giving voice to your desires, no matter how like outrageous or taboo they might be, because again, they are also sacred and innately pure, and what may seem like a superficial desire can actually be leading you to a deeper spiritual truth and path and mission that has been true for us.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like yeah, I mean the kind of as you were talking, so yeah, sacredness I feel like is understanding that everything that's happening is happening for you, not to you, and therefore that there's something there that is you're being guided to, or whatever, right? So even the things that might seem like, you know, are negatives, or you know, or not understanding like why they're happening, that they are happening for a reason, right? And to start looking at life from that angle, from that perspective, changes everything, because now everything becomes sacred, right? Even the stuff that you might have resistance towards, or the things that maybe that even like making your journey, your path, you know, wrong, now suddenly it's not wrong, it's perfect, right? It's happening for you, and there's lessons, there's an opportunities for growth, for expansion, right? And so as we practice this thing in the temple, right? Sacredness, like everything that happens in the temple and happens in containers is for the highest good of all, right? And when we say that, because some stuff, some can be very triggering, some stuff can be like, I'm not even sure like what's happening, and that's fine. But we all know that this is happening for a reason, later, maybe later we make sense of it later, then we're like, oh, okay, now I see it, right? But in that moment, to allow it to just flow, to allow it to come in, allow it to release or whatever, and not question it, right? That is bringing the sacredness to that. And then we can take that onto, you know, our relationships, you know, our jobs, our just our reality, right? That even our kids, you know, that, you know, I think we have 5 kids, and it's a lot of work, and it's they can be very challenging at times, right? But understand that there's a sacredness to that. They're here to teach us things. They're here to mirror things to us, right? And then if you start looking at it from that angle, then you're almost grateful for that. You're grateful for the lessons they're teaching you, for the mirroring, for the challenges, for everything. And that again, that gets translated to every single aspect in your life. When you start bringing in that sacredness into everything that you're doing the dishes, doing laundry, you know, launching that new program, you know, hanging out with your family, our partnership. You know, sometimes it's hard to see that in the moment when they're really pissing you off, you know, but then you're like, oh, I'm sacred from I bring the sacredness, and then I'm like, thank you for that mirroring, thank you for, you know, my expansion, you know, thank you for everything.
Yeah, well, it shows us that there is medicine in everything. Everything and every person has medicine for us. Every experience, every interaction. It might just be a droplet of medicine, or it might be the whole fucking bottle, you know, but there is always medicine. And if we see everything as sacred, then we also, you know what it does, as you were talking, I was like, oh, this is it. It pulls away the veil of victim consciousness. Then you're no longer victim. See, so it's, you have temple consciousness or you have victim consciousness. And those are the two sides of the spectrum. And so when you're in temple consciousness, you are no longer a victim.
Yeah.
And so that is really the huge purpose that it serves, is it really brings us back again to the truth, to unconditional love, to seeing everything as sacred, that there is medicine in every single experience, and that we are not actually, we don't have to live from a place of victimhood. And when we don't live from victimhood, and when we are in a state of receiving unconditional love, of receiving the medicine that everyone and every interaction and everything, even the earth itself, is trying to offer us, this medicine, this teachings, these lessons, then we oh my gosh, I had it and then my whole thought process just stopped. Profound too. Let's see, then we're no longer victims. Then we no longer are giving our power away. This is how we reclaim our power, right? When we're not saying like, oh, you did this to me, and now I'm a victim to you, then we have just handed you our power. When we say, okay, this thing happened to me, yes, we acknowledge the very realness. Okay, that should fucking hurt. That is, I feel this here and I hear that, and maybe it was a violation, and maybe it was all of those things. And then we get to say, and what is the medicine here for me? And that is to extract the sacredness of the experience. And that is also to reclaim your power. That is what temple consciousness is. That is the experience that we facilitate in all of our work, whether it's in a temescal, on a hike, or in the actual temple itself. And then you get to experience this consciousness and then bring it into your everyday life. This is what we have done. So when, like Edmundo said, when we're sitting there with our kids and they're throwing a fit or screaming at us or angry or fighting with each other or whatever, and we're having a reaction to it, we get to step back afterwards and be like, okay, what is this here? What is this showing us? What is this teaching us? What is the medicine here for us? And then how can we support ourselves and how can we support them? And remembering that, again, and this is like that removal of the shame, that you're not bad, you're not wrong, but there is just something here for us to all learn from each other from.
Yeah. And and to bring everything into sacredness is to just be with it, right? Not make it wrong, not make it shameful, not distort it. And through that process is to bring that unconditional love again to everything you do, right? And not only that, but like also what happens is that as you start living from this place of the unconditional love, temple consciousness, what happens is that you start becoming that mirror for others, right? When they're also in their shame, when they're also feeling a victim, right? That you can mirror back to them like, that's not the truth. The truth is that you are perfect the way you are. The experience is perfect the way it's happening. This is happening again for you, not to you, right? That you're not a victim, that you are more powerful than you realize, right? This is what we mirror to others, right? And that's extremely healing because a lot of these people, they've never had that, right? That we grew up with parents that were not safe people. That you know, the moment you threw a fit or you show us some kind of emotion, you know, they were quick to shut it down or be like, this wrong. It's not safe to do that, right? So we start because they didn't understand the sacredness of our emotions, our humanness,
yes,
our, you know, everything we are. Yeah. And so we start there's this part that we start becoming shameful, right? And then you like start hiding them, and then you start rejecting them, and then you are no longer whole. And then now you start, because the pain is there, because this part, then you abandon them, and now you abandon yourself. Right now you don't even know who you are and what you want, whether your desires are, you know, what your wants are. You know, there's, you know that there's something more, but you don't even know what that is no more because you're so disconnected from yourself.
Yeah, and your voice.
To bring back, to drop into temple consciousness is to bring back all those parts back into wholeness, to start loving them again, to start accepting them again. And how do you do that, right? In safe containers, you know, and people that can mirror that back to you. And, you know, literally going into a temple where it's so supportive of, in that moment, you feel held. You feel that you can be all of you, the good, the ugly, and the beautiful, right? And to turn around and look at those parts that you abandoned and face them. And you know, and there's a process in there. We can go into that process in a different video, because it's a not complicated process, but there is a process to that, you know, on how to bring those parts back into wholeness. So I think that, I think we've covered quite a bit, but in like, that's really what temple consciousness is for us,
Yeah.
to make everything sacred, to drop into unconditional love, to no longer be a victim to yourself or to others, to remember who you are, to remember your sacredness, to remember the sacredness of everything you do, to understand that you do have will, but there's something else at play, right? That these things are coming from somewhere, and that you're being developed, you're being guided to whatever your purpose is.
Yeah.
And that, to become, to align yourself to that.
And how to extract the medicine from everything. Yeah. And I want to just make sure we're hitting on like all of our points here that we promised you guys, is like why the world needs this. I mean, again, I touched on it earlier, but this is truly like the deepest level of healing for humanity, right? To return to temple consciousness and sacredness and remove ourselves from being the victim, is to return to our power, is to liberate ourselves from the shame, from the fear, and to be able to open our hearts and connect with each other to new levels of intimacy that we deeply fucking desire, right? Because we know that humans are wired for connection.
Yeah.
And this is what it allows. This is what it creates the space for, right? That secure attachment, secure connection with each other. Whether it's just a friendship, or whether it's parent-child, whether it's lovers and partners.
Whether it's to money.
Yes, to money, to your clients, to the earth, to reconnecting back to the primordial mother, to Gaia, to Mother Earth, having that secure attachment again, to the mother, to the father, and, healing the relationship between the masculine and the feminine. There's so many layers to this, and working with all of the various of ourselves, like you said, many of those that have been, rejected and exiled and abandoned. And then we get to create new secure attachments with them, because we are able to hold space for unconditional love within ourselves. And then we're able to do that with others. And it just creates such a huge ripple effect in every aspect. That, everything you desire becomes yours, because you become everything you desire.
Yeah, and I know we hear this all the time, but to lead from a place of love and not a place of fear. And I think we all know this, right? We've heard it 100 times, but it doesn't, because we've heard it 100 times does not make it still makes it true. It's still true. It really is. Like, where are you making your decisions from? How are you showing up in your life? How are you showing up in your relationship? How are you showing up with friendships? With everything. Are you showing from a place of love or a place of fear? Fear that they're gonna abandon you, or fear that they're gonna reject you, fear they're gonna what's the word I was forgetting?
Reject, abandon. What did you say?
I can't remember. This word's been escaping my mind lately. Pass judgment. They're gonna judge you.
Judge.
Yeah, they're gonna judge you. And so you're coming into relationships with that from a place of fear, right? So then it manifests that, right? It manifests you might reject them before they can reject you. You might pass judgment onto them before they can pass judgment on you. But to show up from a place of love is to show up with an open heart, right? Trusting that whatever is going to play out is going to be for your expansion, from your growth, right? That somebody having their own humanness and their own reality means absolutely nothing about you, and that you can sit there and witness them through this with an open heart, still loving them, still being like, I understand, your experience right now, and you might even feel like I'm the reason why your experience is this way, but I'm still gonna love you through it. And that starts changing how we operate, right? How we have relationships with ourselves, with our partners, with our family, with our bosses, with our business, with money, with everything. It totally changes your world. And it doesn't happen overnight. but the more you do it, the more you stay committed, the more you stay devoted, the more you start to understand what's at play, then you start seeing those changes. And yeah, it's definitely doesn't mean that life is going to be suddenly easy or there's going to be no more challenging, but the way you react to your surroundings becomes very different.
It shifts. Yeah. I think that's like a perfect segue into like, how can they experience temple consciousness in their life? And I think for me, it's literally just setting an intention, because that's how you make anything sacred. We have done this for our marriage and for our home and for, our parenthood journeys and for our businesses hundreds of times.
Even to our kinks,
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, like again, everything gets to be sacred, even your BDSM experiences. That's a different conversation, but you see where I'm going with it. And like even your darkness gets to be sacred, right? For me, bringing the sacredness to anything is setting an intention. It's that simple. That's how, when we go into ceremony, we are setting an intention up front. This is our intention as the facilitators, and each individual is setting their intention. And then we are also like anchoring in with their intention as well. And so that's what creates this really beautiful sacred experience in the temple itself, right? Or in any of our work, like any containers that are, that we work within. And we've done this like so many times with our marriage.
I think, yesterday, the day before this, yesterday, I was having a conversation with a friend, and he had questions about,
the work.
His sex, and doing like sex shamanism or having this mystical experience in sex. And he's like, well, how do you do that? And I'm like, it's all about the intention. Are you having sex just to have sex, or are you having sex with an intention?
Yeah.
Right. What is the intention? It could be 100 different things, right? But at the end of the day, that intention is going to dictate the experience you have in sex.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like, you please yourself and I please myself, or is it going to be the intentions for us to connect? For us to heal. Yeah, for us to even open up our voice to our desires, or 100 different things, right?
To remember.
But to set that intention before you have sex, and it doesn't have to be a whole process, right? Like, we're gonna sit down and it's just like in your mind.
Yep.
Like what do I want to get out of this interaction right now? How do I want to show up? How do I want to feel when I'm having sex, when after, and that really starts changing the way you have sex. It starts becoming something very different. Again, bringing that sacredness into it, where it's not just superficial. It's not just, let's get off as soon as possible, or I'll get mine, you get yours, or whatever. But it's more of a dance, it's a slowness to it. There's a mindfulness to it. There's a presence. To it. There's you start really tuning into your partner, into every single little thing, connecting your energy with your partner, all the things. But that all comes from setting an intention, and not just doing it to throwing spaghetti against the wall to see if something sticks. It's like, no, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to show up. And this is what the energy I'm going to drop into, So
yeah, it's all through intention. Just, you can, maybe, your partner is like working through something. And so like, this is what I do. I mean, we go in to have like if we're going to go have sex, or, I'm like, oh, I might like touch his heart, or and send like love and worthiness, or just whatever the thing is that I know is maybe going on, or whatever I'm feeling called to open within him or offer to him, right?
And I feel that, even if she doesn't tell me like, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing, it's definitely felt, it's because of the intention. It's like how you're, projecting your energy, and how you're touching somebody, with love and compassion, or understanding, or whatever. And it's felt, and then it becomes something else, right? Cara also too, depends on what she's going through. And, we're gonna have sex. I might just really focus on loving her body if that's something that she's needing, right? Or maybe she's been too much in her head. And so maybe I'm gonna help her drop more into her body through pleasure or to bringing the attention to her body, right? Or
clearing shame if you know I'm working through some shame.
Yeah. Or, if her nervous system's like really hijacked and overload, it's like, okay, to relax her body and bring the safety in, or if she's like not communicating, if she's like maybe struggling with speaking her desires and wants, then I might work on her throat chakra, and I might invite her to open up in that way, like, what are your desires?
Tell me what you want. Yeah.
And at times it can be,
challenging.
But again, bringing that sacredness and this love into it and not making it wrong.
Yeah.
And just being there to witness and not having the expectation of like, you're here for me, or you're gonna,
I want this from you.
If you don't do this, then I'm gonna make it wrong.
Yeah.
It's like everything's happening just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. And even if there's some rejection there, maybe even if there's, doesn't get there, I'm still gonna love you regardless. Right.
Yeah.
And well, that's felt creates safety. It creates a very deep level of intimacy.
Yeah.
So this is how, that temple consciousness that we're speaking about, like this is how
we
it
bring
can
it
look.
Yeah.
This is how it manifests,
in our bedroom. Yeah. Bring it into our bedroom. And even like you can bring it into your kitchen, into your home. And I always talk about, like, before we host live in-person events, like retreats and things, I do a sacred clean, and as I'm like cleaning underneath of something or dusting the top of a shelf or, steam cleaning a carpet or whatever it might be, I'm doing it with this sacred intention that this is like energetically cleansing and purging the clients who are getting ready to come and do work with us. And I'm preparing them already through this clean. And you can do that with your own dishes, doing it with love and just infusing, even when you're cooking or making food, right? Like we all know this, right? Like, ooh, it tastes better when it's made with love. And I do this with our whole house, when I sage and when I do things, that I have a process that like love lives here and that this is a space for love, liberation, and bliss.
Even like taking a showers have become something different,
Yeah,
because they're done with intention.
Yeah.
As you cleanse your body, you can also be cleansing energy, or you can be loving, showing love to your body, or just bringing that intention, the awareness to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, and again, like, it's just like a practice that doesn't happen overnight, but the more you become aware of it, the more you start doing it, and then the more it becomes more part of what you do.
Yeah.
And then that's when real change happens.
Yeah.
That's when things are starting to become, the world becomes a different place, right?
Yeah.
It's through those practices and to start being mindful and to practice temple consciousness.
Yeah. I think in the shower piece too, I want to elaborate, like, for individuals or for couples, like it can be like a god or goddess worship experience, right? Where you lather them up and wash their whole body. And again, you're just infusing love and whatever else, as you're washing them, and you're just doing it with this like tender care, with bringing that sacredness in. And it's such a beautiful experience, and the other person will feel it. And even if you don't have a partner and you're showering alone, then you can do this with yourself, giving love to all the parts of your body and appreciation and acceptance.
Yeah, life becomes like a whole big ceremony, a whole big ritual.
Yeah.
And also too, as you were saying, because I think this is something that we've really had to work through, is also even your ask can be sacred, right? And in all kinds of aspects. I think that's one of the things that was the most challenging for both of us, right? To ask for what we wanted, to ask for our desires. And if you make it sacred in a safe container, and you become that person, that safe container for yourself, and your partner does also become that, then it even like having those I don't know, triggering conversations can become sacred,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of like, hey, I really would like for you to do this, or hey, I want you to touch me this way, or hey, you know, like, can you please talk to me softer? Or, hey, you know, can whatever it is, you know, can we have more money dates, or can, you know, I would like to have more alone time, or whatever it is, right? That you start bringing that sacredness to it, and not making it wrong, and not making it shameful, and not making it like, oh, you're being too much, or, you know, or what about if that person rejects me, or whatever, right? But
Those things might still be felt.
right, but I'm saying, but of course, right? Of course, I'm not saying that. But to drop into that sacredness, it does become a different interaction.
Yes, when
right?
you remember that you're working together, and that it's not, like you said, like, I think, an attack or personal against you.
Right. Well, again, it's like if you're dropping into sacredness, you're dropping into unconditional love, right? And even like if you're like, you know, you ask for this, and the person's like, oh, I'm not sure about that, or maybe distortion or whatever. Do you understand that, you know what? Even my ass is still sacred, and it's still valid, and it's still, and you know, maybe it just looks different.
You're saying, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
We do this all the time.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
But even then, you know, what's happened because of that, byproduct happened because of that, is that when we do get into fights, you know, or arguments or disagreements, that we can honor the other person and be like, okay, you're really pissing me off, or you know what, like what you said was hurtful, whatever. And I'm gonna take a moment, or I'm gonna walk away right now, because I do feel the sacredness of this conversation, and to honor that, I think that maybe at this point we need to pause and then come back to it at a different time, because if not, we're just gonna shit on it, we're gonna dishonor it, we're gonna just cause more harm, or whatever. But that comes from bringing the awareness to it. These companies are sacred, and we should have the reverence for them. And because of that, we're gonna honor it, and come back at a different time, or even in the conversation to, you know, I know sometimes this happens where like you know, things get heated or get passionate or whatever, and Kara's like, hey, I need you to maybe be more gentle, or you need to soften it up.
You need to lower your voice.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, again, understanding that sacredness of it, the conversation can be yes, or I can be like, you know what, I'm not in that space right now, so we're gonna have this conversation at a different time.
Yeah.
You know, but that comes from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we've given
I think
quite a bit.
that's 47 minutes of yeah, I think that there's a lot of examples of how you can bring this into your life and experience it, you know, in your relating, you know, in the bedroom, in your home, you know, through parenthood. I think we talked about that as well. The only place and through our work, through your work, you know, you get to bring sacredness. Even if you have a 9 to 5, you can set an intention for your day every day, and you will have such a different fucking experience at your job. Such a different experience. You will see the gifts and all the things that maybe used to feel really annoying and frustrating, or you felt resentful about, or you felt whatever way about. If you set an intention for your job to also be a sacred experience for you, or you bring temple consciousness to your workplace, your whole experience of your work and your job will shift and change.
Yeah. And if you need more guidance with that, or want to feel more supported with that, or you know, you want to just have somebody that has gone first, you know, you can always reach out to us. This is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yeah, we have so many opportunities for you to experience temple consciousness in a real life temple. We have an upcoming dragon session that myself and another dragon priestess sister are going to be facilitating December 29th. It's a small intimate group session. It's $333 a person. It's a 3-ish hour journey that we'll be taking you through in there, where you get to experience temple consciousness and do some womb healing, and really reclaim your power. That's for women. And then we have our next initiation retreat that is open for enrollment. And that is going to be happening in the spring. That's May 16th through the 19th, I believe. It's a Thursday through a Sunday. That is something that we're really, really excited about. It's well, it's now, it used to be 3 days, now it's 4 days. And it's just a really deep, deep immersion into temple consciousness. We connect you back to the Primordial Mother herself, to Gaia herself, through a wild woman hike. And then we will take you into the womb of the mother, into the Temescal, and
Sweat lodge,
which is the sweat lodge. We'll have a sweat lodge experience. Profound transformation. And then we'll do some yin yoga, and we're going to have some nourishing snacks, lots of sisterhood, beautiful, beautiful connection and intimacy. Then we will have a temple session where you really get to experience divine union, witnessing our divine union as, again, that energetic blueprint for your own self. And then you will get to make your own individual journeys into your divine union. The temple sessions are just deeply, deeply profound, transformational experiences. Everyone's is uniquely different. But it is where you get to return back to wholeness within yourself.
yeah. And I think that our language is limited, so we're here trying to explain this thing that we have experienced multiple times. But there comes to a point where, I think experiencing it is probably the best. There's so much words that we can say, but then to come and experience it, then you can understand it at way deeper level what it is that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a reawakening to your power, to your creation power, to your desires, to your darkness, to your kinks, to your light, to your love. It's opening of your heart. It's
Your
clearing
gifts.
of your shame. It's awakening your gifts. There's so many different ways. It's cultivating trust and boundaries and experiencing safety in your body, and really eliminating so much fear that may have lived in your system before. It really is truly a re-imprinting, I feel like, of whatever your specific need is, it's a re-imprinting of that.
Yeah, and that's also key right there, that everybody has a different need, a different experience, the desire, a different intention. And it shows very differently. Something that's like connecting back to their mother, connecting back to their primal energy. Some of them is birthing their priestess, their dragon, their healer. Some of them is just a big remembrance of who they are. Some of them is, it's just if everybody has a different experience, but it all is all rooted in that temple consciousness.
Yes, and it's such a huge initiation. This is an initiatory experience to stepping onto your path as an ancient healer, onto your priestess path. And this is that like initiation to say, okay, you're saying yes to this. And we take you through these 3 rites of passages, right? Through the hike, through the Temescal, through the temple session itself. And then, and you're ultimately like in this re-imprint, it's you're releasing an old identity, and you're unveiling you could call it a new identity, but it's almost more of like a remembrance of the truth of who you actually always have been and are. But you're embodying her. You're embodying this part of yourself again. And maybe for the first time in many, many, many lifetimes. And then we've added like a new fun component where we're going to be offering a photo shoot for you to really embody this new remembrance, right? Of who you are, of your ancient healer. It's like an ancient healer embodiment photo shoot of whoever that is for you. Maybe she's gentle, maybe she's seductive, maybe she's wildly erotic. she can be whatever, she is whoever you are. And so you get to really, really step into her, and then we'll have a beautiful closing ceremony. And then we offer 6 weeks of integration support included with this retreat. And it's, ongoing WhatsApp convo, and we do 3 integration calls as well. So it's a very, very immersive, transformational experience. Everyone who comes says that they leave never the same.
One last thing before we get off, I think it's important to address is that this is a death and rebirth process.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a lot of people there are interested, but there's already an activation of that because their essence, their soul understands what they would are embarking on, right?
Yes.
And so there is an activation, just when you sign up, there's an activation. Even signing up, there's an activation of like the unknown, of like fear coming up, and doubt coming up. And we're here to guide you through that, right? To be supportive of that, even making the decision, or even after you signed up, starts coming up, and that we guide you through that also, right? Because we do understand that there is an activation. You're basically saying you're saying yes to a death and rebirth process, and that can be very activating, very, very activating, whether you or know it consciously or subconsciously. But again, we're here to guide you, be supportive of that process. The moment that this calls to you, that you can reach out to us, and we can have those conversations, right? We can just have a Zoom call, and just address any questions, any fears that might be coming up, or any doubt that might be coming up. If that's something that you're interested, that we're here to be supportive of that.
Yes, thank you for saying that. It's really, truly such an important part of stepping into this work, is that we are here to guide you and hold you even into your own decision and process, because we do understand fully what it requires and what it takes. And we have such a deep reverence for the very realness of what this experience can feel like in the body. So we honor that process fully, and we are here to support you into that. So we know that it can be very, very scary. It can be exciting, and then it can also feel terrifying at the same time. If that's the sensations in your body, that's a good thing. But yeah, reach out to us. We're happy to hop on a connection call, make sure that this is a good fit for you, and we can talk about and address any of your concerns or any of your fears, or just even your confirmation that that this is calling to you. And that is how this work works. It will call to you. It will say, yeah, like it will nudge you over and over until you do step in. And it might mean you have to overcome some of your deepest fears in order to do so. And we understand that. So we are here again to assist and support you in that process. So our inboxes are open, so please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to connect with you. And I will post the link for the description of the retreat and the pricing details and all of that. And we do offer custom payment plans. I think we're on to like a 5-month payment plan at this point, now that we've stepped into December. So we can break that up into 5 payments for you. The price is now $2,222 a person for that experience. So, but let us know. We do also open the container a month before the retreat, so you'll have support going in. And we do also offer a group call before the retreat, and I'll give you a retreat guide with all kinds of information. And actually, we're offering a new, we've added, what is it? How do I we've added the erotic mother as an additional support feature to this retreat experience. So when you step into the retreat, you also get access to the 12-month online mystery school of the erotic mother. Yeah. So if you have any questions, let us know. Happy to answer any of those for you. We would love, love, love to have you step in, and or if you just even are want to come and experience the temple in a one-off temple session, those are available as well. And you can reach out privately and we can discuss that as an option for you. Okay. Talk soon. Love you. Bye.